And thank you so much for joining us. I'm Cassie Craddock, Managing Director at Ripple. I've had the pleasure of working at Ripple now for the last 7 years. Rita, it's so great to have you here today. I'd love to learn a little bit more about the book. And so to borrow the title of the book, how are blockchain, digital assets, and crypto disrupting traditional finance?
Yeah, it's interesting because, when I was looking at the title of the book, I was thinking, what is the best word to describe this ecosystem? And if you go and speak with banks, they do not touch the word crypto because crypto is still seen as a Bitcoin and the bad guys. Then they have some teams that are called digital assets, but digital assets is still just a small part of the wide ecosystem. And so I wanted to call it Web3, but still people think of Web3 as your data ownership. And for me, it's much more than that. And so when I was writing the book, I tried to put all the words so then no matter where you work, no matter what's your background, you can relate a bit and you can understand a bit what's the book about. And I wrote the book because I think probably within this space, we all work within blockchain and we all know how much is actually already happening. But if you go outside of these walls, actually most people, they still don't fully understand this space and they still don't know how much blockchain, digital assets, crypto is really driving change. And so the book really tries to showcase some of the companies, some of the leaders driving change within this ecosystem. And one of the companies I actually invited interview for the book was Ripple. So when you get the book, I will invite you to look in to see what are these guys that we have included from Ripple side.
And what use cases are you seeing that is being traditionally used within traditional companies or TradFi companies that are leaning into the digital asset space? Where are you seeing kind of the mass grow from a digital asset perspective?
Yeah, so the most that we have seen, so will be, for example, custody. Many banks will start with custody because you need custody to start to do anything. Then some of them have tried and looked into stable coins, for example, how they use stable coins for payments. And you also have some of them that look into tokenization. I'm sure all of you have heard of tokenization and how many of the companies are using it. Two of the other use cases I have touched within the book, which is the lending side. So if you look into the DeFi space, there is a lot of lending. There are some companies that use tokenized assets as collateral for lending. And you still also need a digital identity layer for any of these use cases. I don't know if that's something that you have seen as well in your conversations with your clients.
Yeah, I mean, from a Ripple perspective, of course, many years ago, we started back focusing on cross-border payments as our initial use case. And, the pain point that we were solving was being able to deliver payments with certainty at a low cost without, frankly speaking, now as the products evolve, without the needing to pre-fund in those destinations. And our customers, they don't care if they use digital assets, right? They just want certainty that those payments are going to go there. Now, over many years, our customers have asked us as, Ripple as a trusted advisor in this space to expand our products and services. And so, our acquisition last year of Metaco for $250 million really helps us, from a entry point. You mentioned custody as that entry point. We see custody, financial institutions are looking at custody for their first real step into digital assets. Then they're thinking about compliance. Then they're thinking about what applications should I build on top of that. And so, payments is a product and service that Ripple supports. Today we have, payout markets in 80 different countries, which is 90% of the FX market. And we've serviced, over $50 billion in volume. But we continue to see, banks leaning into tokenization as that first initial use case. So the majority of our customers, like HSBC, for example, are saying, hey, Ripple, how do we tokenize assets? And so they are tokenizing securities, leveraging the Ripple custody solution. A few months ago, Brad announced that Ripple are launching a stablecoin. Stablecoins are a $160 billion market today, set to be a nearly $3 trillion by the end of the year. And we see, our customers like SocGen Forge that have issued a Euro stablecoin. We are seeing our customers are doing that, but we saw that there was a really great opportunity for us to issue our own stablecoin, our own USD stablecoin, because of the compliant, regulated, innovative company that we are. We saw that there was a gap there, but also our customers were asking for it because they want to leverage this stablecoin alongside XRP in cross-border payment flow. So we're seeing very similar trends from our customers, but also Ripple's really leaning into that, wanting to build a digital asset infrastructure platform, and we'll continue to add products and services that our customers are asking for.
Yeah, it's interesting because within the book, I spoke with a few other companies and they had similar view, which is really like, what are our clients asking about? And even within the stablecoin point, I mean, there was a point where we're asking, okay, is every bank going to have a stablecoin? But it's a very different business model. So some of them are going to say, well, actually, who are the companies who are regulated, who are already within this space for a while, who we can partner up with to do some of the stablecoins? So it's interesting to see that you guys have gone through that path.
Yeah, I mean, I think the most exciting thing that Ripple's doing this year will be launching the stablecoin. I think, we're all very much excited about it, not just from our perspective, but our customers are really excited about us doing that as well. So was there anything that was interesting when you were doing your research from an industry perspective that stood out to you in particular?
So I think it was interesting for me, like the breadth of talent within this space. I think maybe because I come from a traditional background, you always think of this space as very innovative, we call it degen people. And actually we have seen, especially in the last few years, a lot of people coming from the traditional background within this space. And so you have quite a big breadth of experience, people that come from traditional finance, people that come from innovation, but trying to learn a bit more about regulation. So that was super interesting. I don't know if that's something that, for example, at Ripple, you also have that set of breadth of different people coming together.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we predominantly service financial institutions. So from a custody perspective, our product market fit is very much in kind of your tier one banks. So we've got partners like HSBC that leverage our custody platform. But we do see, different audience sets. So on the RippleX side, for example, we know that this kind of convergence of kind of more general, but Ripple is this institutional DeFi approach. And so, from a RippleX perspective, which is really focused on driving the developer ecosystem around the XRP ledger, we're leaning into funding really interesting companies within that space. And we're seeing really exciting early stage companies building on the XRP ledger within lending, payments, use cases, for example.
Yeah, I think you really need this breadth of different experiences because they come from a very innovative set. They don't have the background of working within financial services, working with regulation, working with compliance. And so they bring really interesting perspectives. And that's something within the book that you have this convergence of traditional finance and DeFi. And you even have some of the regulators trying to just take some of the key innovations from DeFi and saying, could we use these? So Project Marianne, I'm sure every one of you have heard about. They're looking to AMMs and saying, could we use this for cross-border payments, for example, as well? So I think it's definitely interesting to see that you guys are seeing the same thing. And it'll be interesting to see which ones we're going to be using more and more within traditional finance and the same way around.
In terms of your experience as a woman in crypto, when you were researching the book, is there any kind of standout moments for you from this point of view?
Yeah, so when I was writing the view and I wanted to interview people, I was trying to really have a balance of different genders, different backgrounds. And to be honest, I did struggle because, first of all, there is less women that are seniors. And you want, for a book like this, you want to have senior people as well. So there is less women. And then because there is less, they always go to the conferences, they always speak. So it's also harder to get their time and to have the availability. So I think that's definitely something that I struggle with the book. And I still have tried to get a bit of balance. But to be honest, it's still not perfect. I think it's, look, like yourself, I used to work in a bank. And it's still the same thing as we go into technology. It's even harder. We need to work at all different levels. We need to work in having more women coming and studying technology, especially within the DeFi. Like you're saying, it's interesting because the vision of DeFi was that they wanted to create this openness. They wanted to have everyone to come in and have a piece of the new internet. But the reality is that you still have a small segment of people, they usually are men, who actually are coders and who actually understand how the blockchain works. And so when you look into some of the projects, they are still owned by the same types of people, the same genders of people. So I think it's still a problem. I think we have talked about it, and I think it's well recognized. The question is, how do we implement it and how do we make changes? I don't know if, Casey, from your side, if there is anything else that you have seen?
Yeah, I think, from my perspective, I entered the crypto space back in 2017. So what I've seen is a progression, but I still think inclusivity and just representation across the board, whether that's women in crypto, LGBT, focused in crypto, or any other kind of representation that there are, I still think that we lack. But I do think that there has been, where we have real companies that are building actual real companies with utility that are thinking of this as top of mind. I think that only helps drive positive change. But I do think we have a long way to go, unfortunately. To wrap up kind of this, from your perspective, Rita, if we look out 10 years from now, what does the digital asset blockchain world look like, and what are you most excited about?
So I think it's gonna just come into the background. We should stop talking about blockchain. We should stop talking about digital assets. I usually compare it with clouds. I mean, most of you have no idea if your bank is on the cloud or if it's on-prem solutions, and you shouldn't. So the same way you shouldn't know if it's using blockchain or if it's using some legacy system. What it's going to be like, we're just going to have so much more new innovative solutions. We're going to have, anything is going to be tokenized, and you can start using it as a collateral for anything. That's what I'm most excited about. And it really depends as well where you are. So if you are within emerging markets, for example, it could really enable some of the inclusion, which even the fintechs, they try to bring into the table, but it's a really hard problem to solve. If you are in somewhere like we are right now in the UK or developed markets, then it's going to bring much more efficiency, cost reduction, and it could even bring some new innovative solutions that we don't even know about. But definitely it's going to be into the background. We're going to stop talking about blockchain, and we're going to start talking about the solutions as we should.
I agree. And I think the main, for me, the reason why I got into this space was really around breaking down economic borders and improving financial access. And I think the blockchain really solves for that. So I hope that's, we're making positive strides in that direction, but I hope that that's where we end up. And, we can look back as an industry and be really proud of that journey.